Hi, I'm Renarta Clanton Moyd. I'm a communications specialist with the Cumberland County Schools and your host of Get Connected. During this monthly show, we highlight numerous educational topics that face today's student, educator, and parent in the Cumberland County Schools. Our schools always strive to create safe, healthy, and supportive learning environments for all of our students. School psychologists are working tirelessly in our schools to do just that. Their work helps to strengthen the connections between home and school and enhance the mental health and educational competence of all the children they serve. Now, after this break, two guests from Cumberland County Schools' Psychological Services Department will join us to discuss the important work they do to ensure the success of students and much more on this edition of Get Connected.
Don't walk. Don't walk. Walk. Do not enter. Hot dogs. Definitely like hot dogs. Motorcycle club. Everything must go. Ghostly ghouls. Don't look at that, Teddy. Body piercing. Ouch.
Everyday moments can become teaching moments because learning starts long before school does. Give your child the start they need at bornlearning.org.
When you open a book, you can explore new lands, make new friends, and discover new adventures. There are amazing possibilities when you open your mind to reading. Explore new worlds. Read.
Again, thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected, where we're talking with Cumberland County Schools Lead Psychologist, Ms. Lisa Craver, and Cumberland County School Psychologist, Ms. Mary Olsen. Lisa and Mary, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you all are here with us. Now, you all have been psychologists, how long? School psychologists?
28 years.
28 years.
Long time.
Yeah, long time.
Long time.
That's good. You enjoy what you do, I take it.
I do.
Okay.
I do. Each day is new and different.
I can imagine. I can imagine. And Mary, how about you?
I've been doing it for 10 years.
10 years. 10 years. That's great. Now, what is the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychologist?
A psychiatrist actually attends medical school.
Okay.
They go through their residency and their internships, and they can write prescriptions, and they can specialize in different forms of psychiatry in terms of adult or children. And psychologists generally only have a master's degree or a PhD. Okay. So that's the big difference.
Okay, that's good, that's good. And then tell me exactly, what does a school psychologist do?
A school psychologist is even different from a regular psychologist because what we do is we kind of have a combination of the educational needs of a child and the mental health needs of a child. Okay. Whereas a regular psychologist would just focus on therapy, clinical type things. Okay. We don't do that so much in the school setting. Okay. Now, how would one go about becoming a school psychologist?
Well, you have to complete a master's degree and an advanced study degree. Basically, it's a 60-hour master's degree program, which includes a full year of internship before you're let off on your own, basically. Mm-hmm. You do your bachelor's degree in psychology, and then you do a master's degree in psychology and an advanced study degree in school psychology. Okay. And I'm going to ask you guys this question, and I want to hear from both of you, okay? Because I know you're at Central Services, and you're out there, you're at what schools do you serve, Mary?
I work at Grace Creek High School and Grace Creek Middle School. Okay. What is the typical day for a school psychologist, or for you? What is the typical day for you? Lisa?
Typical day, I come into work early because I get at least an hour of quiet time before everybody else starts to come in.
You sound like children are getting ready to come to the daycare center.
That's right. Typical day is I start at the office, check the calendar, check the messages, emails, make sure there's nothing that is hot that I need to do. If I'm lucky, I can stay in the office and do paperwork and take care of phone calls. Otherwise, I'm out and about checking at different schools, visiting with the school psychologist at their schools, or helping with other committees at different schools. I'm often asked to do professional development. So it can vary from day to day. I do split my time 2 days a week with the special education preschool, and I do some diagnostic evaluations for 2 to 5 year olds.
Okay.
So I get mixed up a little bit.
Okay, so that's good. I thought you were going to tell me that there was no typical day for you.
Well, that's my typical day.
Okay.
If I have a typical day, how's that?
Okay, okay. Well, I know with you, Mary, do you have a typical day, or what is your typical day?
My typical day, again, would be like Lisa said, you start off in the morning and do your, housekeeping type things and see what you're doing for the day. A lot of times it will be writing reports for children that I've previously evaluated, or going and evaluating the children that need to be evaluated. We have student service team meetings that I have to attend. We have meetings, special education meetings, which we call IEP meetings. We have to attend those. Consultations with teachers and different staff members and things like that. So.
All right. And how many school psychologists do we have in the system?
We have 35.
And so each
psychologist serves 2 to 3 schools.
Wow.
We'd like it to be 2, but we make do with what we have.
And how are they assigned?
I try to assign them based on numbers so that we're not having one psychologist serve more than 1,500 to 2,000 students. Of course, you know the size of our high schools and middle schools, so that makes it difficult sometimes, but generally that's how we're assigning them. I try to look at preferences. In some psychologists are not very comfortable with really small children, our preschoolers and young children, and some actually prefer middle schools, which others don't care to touch. So
I like the way you say it. Now, with that in mind, if a parent has a concern about their child, what steps do they go through in order to get the help of that school psychologist?
It's a long process.
Oh, really?
Because actually, first of all, you should really just start with contacting the teacher.
Okay.
And discussing, as a parent, you would discuss your concerns with the child's teacher. And you may find out that the teacher also has concerns and that they've already started some interventions that they've been doing in the classroom, or maybe that they have been consulting with their peers to see if, there's something that they may have not thought of doing. And so that would really be the first step. So after that, if there's more issues that those little interventions are not taken care of, they would be then referred to the student services team.
Okay.
And a psychologist can sit on that team as well. So do you want to
What's the student services team? What is that? Tell our viewers.
The student service team actually consists of different professionals. It includes the support personnel, the counselors, social worker, literacy coaches, learning coaches, as well as administrators, the classroom teachers, anybody that needs to come together to help support that student and to come up with solutions to make that student successful in the classroom as best as we can. That could even include the school nurse. It could include outside agencies, but it consists of a team of people to try to help that one child.
Now, you know what, and I want to get to the bare bones of what a psychologist does, because I know you all do a lot. At one point, I just thought, well, okay, they do a lot of, testing the child and analyzing, but there's more. There's more. Tell us what else you guys do.
There's a lot of, like I said before, consultation with teachers and other staff members. There's a lot of intervention development with our role on the student services team. We help, depending on what the specific need of the child is, we help to develop interventions and help to the teachers to progress monitor how the child is responding to those interventions. Let's see.
Some of our psychologists actually do counseling. They'll do brief, very short-term counseling, individual and group counseling. They'll work with the counselors to do groups on particular topics. We often have military-connected groups going on at any given point in the school year, especially if we have a lot of soldiers that are deploying and kids that are having issues with their parents being away. Unfortunately, we wear a hat that can do a lot of things. So you name it, we've been asked to do it.
To do it. But we cannot get you all confused with a school counselor.
No.
Tell us how those are different.
At school, they're very similar, but we're, as Mary said, we're very specialized in terms of looking at the psychology of learning and how a student learns and how they're processing information. And that's, and the counselor is looking more at those mental health issues and social issues where we can piggyback on those things. We do have those specialties in looking at the learning needs of students.
Okay. And what kind of strategies or interventions do you all have in place that are out there to help our young people?
It's really specific to the child's need. A lot of times we can, if it's like an academic need, they'll do maybe some after-school tutoring, they'll have small group instruction in the classroom, they'll do maybe even one-on-one instruction in the classroom. Sometimes they're computer-based programs, so it really has to do with whatever the specific need is for the child, that the intervention is developed around that.
Now, you all don't lead these tutoring sessions. You kind of
Rarely.
acted connecting
Yes.
the student with these services.
Yes, rarely do we do those. Sometimes if we are working with a particular child, an individual child, we may do some of that remediation and do similar not quite tutoring, but checking in to make sure that they're completing their work or how they're doing with their tutoring. Another adult to give them that motivation to keep working.
Now, do you all ever have, and I know you did mention to us earlier, Mary, where the teacher, the parent should come to the teacher first and share information, but do you ever have cases where parents will kind of just come to, when parents really know that there's something that's going on and they really need to talk to someone, get directly to it? Do you ever have those situations?
Yes, a lot of times. We actually get requests for evaluations from parents sometimes. And what we have to make a parent understand and help a parent to understand is that there's still a process that has to go on. It's not just we evaluate a child. We have to look at all these interventions in addition to doing an evaluation. So we basically have to prove that everything that can be done within the regular education setting has been done, and the child is still not improving before eligibility could ever be made to go for a special education identification.
Okay.
Those are the phone calls I get.
Oh, those are the ones
days
that you
that
handle.
I get to sit in the office. Those are the phone calls I handle.
And try to explain.
And I have parents calling and just expressing their concerns. A lot of times it's just they want to be heard,
Right.
and they want to know where to go. Very concerned. So those are the phone calls I like to take during the day.
I can imagine after the Newtown shooting, a lot of school psychologists got concerned, calls from parents about, well, I know my child has this. Let's just put it on the table, and I need help. I'm sure, But okay, we'll move on with that. But nonetheless, go right ahead, Lisa.
I was listening.
Okay, well, with that in mind, talk to us about some of the evaluation tools that you all use.
We have lots of evaluation tools. I'll tell you, Renarta, a typical battery looks at how the child's rate of learning, how fast they're learning. So we use tests that measure cognitive ability and looking at intellectual skills, and that also includes memory and processing skills. We also look at academic achievement, educational skills. And then we often look at how independent a student is, both at home and in the classroom, to see what those needs are as well. So we're gathering information not only from the student, but also from the adults that work with that student in a number of ways, not only the teacher, but the parents, and sometimes other situations. We've enlisted the primetime staff to give us information before. So it takes a village.
It does. It does. It really does. It takes a village. But what we're going to do is take a quick break. Okay, ladies?
Okay.
All right.
It's good.
All right. Don't go anywhere. Stick around for more Get Connected.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people. Connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
I'm tall enough to reach the light switches. I'm big enough to brush my teeth by myself. I'm the tallest kid in my class. I haven't worn diapers in years. I'm much less likely to vomit at random now. My cups don't have lids anymore. Mine either. I'm getting pretty big. But to help me survive a car crash, I still need you to give me a boost.
Until they're 4'9", use a booster seat in the car and don't let them down.
In 4 out of 5 school shootings, the attacker tells someone about it first. Call 1-866-SPEAK-UP to report a weapon threat at school.
Thanks for joining us for this edition of Get Connected. Our guests are Cumberland County Schools Lead Psychologist Lisa Craver and School Psychologist Mary Olsen. And we're discussing Cumberland County Schools Psychological Services Department. Now, we are so glad that you all are a part of the Cumberland County Schools because you just help us in so many ways as far as our students and their well-being and those types of things. And we kind of talked a little earlier about referrals and those types of things. And for a child to be processed, go through, the discussion as far as the student services team is concerned, about how long does that take?
That's a process that takes approximately 6 weeks, four to 6 weeks, depending on the situation, and that gives it a chance for the interventions to be to see if the child is actually responding to the intervention. So once they're implemented, then it begins the process of progress monitoring, and so we intervene for like 4 days a week, and then a progress monitoring assessment is administered at the end of the week. And so that process takes a while because you can't really, it's not going to take a week for a child to see improvement with that. So it's about a 4 to 6 week process.
So let's say, for instance, with a child who may have behavioral problems, using what you just told us. Tell me, 6 weeks. So an intervention for a situation of that nature would be what?
Probably the school would have already put in, the student service team would have already put in place an intervention plan, and that was their mode of monitoring that behavior. We often enlist the help of the behavior coaches as we get into the meat of the behaviors so that we can help the teachers use reinforcements more appropriately or more consistently to try to get that behavior where we want it. Sometimes kids just can't control that behavior, and then we need to surround them with other supports that might be through special education. Okay.
Now, what happens if the steps taken don't yield those desired results? What happens then?
After the end of the intervention period, the student service team will re-meet, and they will discuss everything that has happened in the past 6 weeks. And they decide at that point, are these interventions working? Do we need to tweak the interventions, or do we need to actually refer it on to the IEP team? And the IEP team is the special education side of the house. And so when a student's case gets referred to that team, a decision is made by that team which typically consists of a special education case manager, a special education teacher, school psychologist, the parent, the teacher, and again, like Lisa had said with the other teams, anyone that would be a crucial part in that meeting. And then that team would then decide whether or not an actual evaluation needs to occur.
Okay, and you said IEP. What is an IEP? I mean, I know as educators we use a lot of acronyms. So talk to our audience and tell them, what is an IEP?
Go ahead.
Okay. You're on a roll. It's actually an acronym for an individualized education plan.
Okay.
And so that would be the document that a child would get if he or she is found eligible for special education services.
Okay. And what goes into the IEP?
Specific goals for that particular student that we would monitor to make sure that we are giving him the correct specialized instruction, be it a behavioral goal or an academic goal. And oftentimes, you know, children who have behavior problems are behind academically, and that we have to take care of that.
Okay.
So,
it also looks at specific modifications for a
Yes.
child too, or accommodations that they might need, like for testing, or like if they need extended time, if they need a copy of the notes that the teacher might have, if they have difficulty copying notes or things like that. So it would any need that the child has would be covered under an IEP.
Okay, okay, all right. Now, how has the implementation, and we're kind of shifting gears just a bit, but how has the implementation of Common Core affected students as far as all this is concerned?
Renarta, Common Core, we're seeking to be more rigorous in our education, and Common Core has just stepped that up another notch. And so Common Core has gotten teachers even more sensitive to students' learning needs, I think. And a lot of times when we look at students as psychologists and their learning needs, we're looking at them based on their neurodevelopmental skills. We're looking at them where they need to be developmentally. So we're comparing 5-year-olds with other 5-year-olds. And a lot of times teachers get frustrated because they're having trouble with the Common Core, but developmentally they're just fine. And so we have to help educate the teachers that when we look for a learning disability, we're looking at it based on the child, not on the curriculum or the material that they're being administered or being given in the classroom necessarily.
And that's really good information to know. Go right ahead. I cut you off.
I was going to say, well, it's very frustrating for them too, because you know they have the standards that they're expected those children to achieve, and it's very difficult for them to understand sometimes why they don't have a learning disability. But most of the time it's just a matter of we're exposing children to things that they're not ready for, developmentally ready for.
Wow. Now, I want to talk about something else you all kind of deal with, trauma.
Oh, mercy.
I know. I mean, and I'm sure those types of things can really take away that typical day.
Oh, yes. It takes away the typical night.
Yeah. Okay, talk with us, Lisa.
When the phone rings at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you know it's not good.
Right.
Actually, it's been a busy year for trauma and loss, not only with situations that have taken place outside of Cumberland County, such as in Connecticut at Sandy Hook, but we've had children who have been killed in car accidents, died because of long-term illnesses, unfortunately have committed suicide. We take a trauma team into those schools every time that happens, and it takes the night before to get that
mobilize.
team to get
Yes, exactly.
We have that procedure down pat, but unfortunately we've had to use it way too many times this year.
I can imagine. And with the trauma team, it consists of whom?
Counselors, psychologists, social workers, mostly student support personnel. But it also, we are fortunate to have lots of parent volunteers who come in to support the students. Local pastors have even offered their services. So it really is a community affair when those things happen.
And it's so good to know that that piece is in place, because I mean, I've heard of instances where something may have happened in the community with a child, and then the other students come, that may have happened on the weekend, and the other students come to school on that Monday, and just looking at the child's locker or walking by the child's desk and not seeing that particular child there can just trigger a lot of emotion, but it's good to know that you all are there in place to kind of help with that. Yeah.
It's the most tired you'll ever be as a psychologist or as a student support person.
And I'm sure you all are there as well for our faculty and staff. Because I mean, you know, we're adults, we're supposed to, but it's good to know that, hey, if I can't take it today,
that's right,
you're there, you'll help me out.
Definitely.
That's good. Now, what kind of help do you all offer parents? Because you all are there, as far as parents are concerned, referrals to outside organizations, specialized groups, parenting. But okay, I'm giving the answers. So you go.
You're doing a fine job.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
We do all of those things. You're right. We help out with getting parents to the resources that they need, just like social workers and counselors. We help get them to those agencies that can help them the most. We have parenting classes that are going on. We have lots of local agencies that we have interaction with that often provide their literature so that we can get those, like the Autism Society as well. So we have lots of different things. I don't know, Mary, you're in the schools more frequently right now. What else goes on out there?
I think kind of what you hit on earlier is that a lot of times parents just want to be heard. And so we can look at providing a listening ear to them and just helping them to understand what's going on in the classroom and things like that for their child. So
that's good.
Sometimes just listening to them and giving them maybe some strategies that kind of tie school and home together.
And yeah, and as a parent, you can always use, because these little people don't come with a manual.
No, they don't.
And you don't have all the answers, so you can always use that support. And when you mentioned parenting classes and those types of things, do you all have like a rigid schedule, or just if a school requests parenting?
Mostly on request basis.
Okay.
Yes.
But you all have some tricks in your trick bag.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Well, and there are packaged programs that we have used before, such as Love and Logic and different types of parenting opportunities. So.
All right. Well, you know what, ladies, I'm looking at the clock on the wall, and it tells me our time is up. I know you all have. I've enjoyed both of you.
Thank you.
And I hope you'll come back, right?
Anytime.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Well, on behalf of the Cumberland County School System, we want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of our show and for giving us a chance to help you get connected. Until next time.